Tick, welcome to my first listen for 10's Stunner, the second mini album. I'm so excited to dive into more music from 10. I've already checked out Stunner and BAMBOLA, so those will not be included in this reaction. Go to my respective music video reactions to check out my thoughts on those, but that makes it just one part, because then we can check out Enough For Me, Sweetest Sin, Waves, and Butterfly. I'm not checking out the English version of Stunner, haven't even listened to it, but girl, she might be a banger. But yeah, I just like, if there's like different versions of a track, like remixes or different languages, I tend to not check them out in first listens. I just kind of keep it to the tracks we have not heard before, but I'm excited. I like BAMBOLA. It's kind of like this crazy, hyped up, really interesting performance for 10, and then Stunner. I don't even know how to say nothing, do I? But yeah, so we can go ahead and dive on into the B-sides. I do color-coded lyric videos for these, just because I find it to be the best solution for you and for me to follow together in real time, but I don't make these, so if they're wrong, please don't kill the messenger. But yeah, so we actually do start off with Stunner, strong start, girl, let me tell you, and then we go Enough For Me, and then we go to BAMBOLA. So we start at a really kind of like high place, I feel like, because you have Sun in the title track, and then so you get Enough For Me, then BAMBOLA. So it'll be very interesting, like a top-down list and how the flow of that kind of goes, you know what I mean? I'm expecting Enough For Me to kind of be a little bit more like also another hype song, especially if it's kind of in between the two songs that have been promoted, just so that they can just like, I don't know, that like makes sense for me. Like most albums, I feel like start off like a little bit hype and then they can kind of like slow it down. Not necessarily like 10's last album, but just kind of basic, I feel like basic album structure. You know, you can always do something different, reinvent, you know. But I'm sort of expecting this one to be a little bit more hype. So yeah, let's go and get Enough For Me. Here we go. Oh, excuse me?
Enough for me. Call me for a good time. Enough for me. Call me on a bad night.
10.
Enough for me. You call it the last time. Enough for me.
Don't be doing this. Don't be doing this to me. Don't, boy. If you don't stop.
Pick up and fast forward. I know what it means. I'm missing the catwalk. I know how to make a scene. I don't need a crash course. Word is on the street. They say it's the last call, and I'm down. Oh, I'm down for whatever. I'm down. Yeah, I'm down for whatever. I'm down.
There's very few idols, I feel like, that just really give sexy. Taemin's one of them, and I think 10 is our other one. Just like everything that they do, their concepts, their choreography, everything. And 10's really kind of been extremely consistent when it comes to like sexy concepts and giving a variety of sexy. I feel like this is a great follow-up to Stunner, but it would have been too much for me, honestly. It wasn't too much, not enough for me, if this would have been like a title track or the second promotional one. It's like this like 2000s kind of like sexiness. It's so oof. There really ain't. Ain't nobody like 10. But think of like an early JT vibe, a solo JT. Kind of that late 90s, early 2000s, sexy. Like kind of like Usher sexy. You know what, like way back in the day. That sounds too good and too sexy if you ask me. I gotta live, 10. I gotta live. That's what you don't understand.
Enough for me.
Maybe it actually does have a little bit of a JT vibe now that I think about it. The way that outro kind of hit, I was like, Justin, are you here? But yeah, no, I really like that one. I think it's a great follow-up to Stunner. I feel like SM kind of does this thing with a lot of their solo albums for the soloists or just albums in general too, where it's like with the first like 2 or 3 B-sides will kind of have a very similar vibe to the title track, and then the rest kind of explore a little bit. I wouldn't say that'd be the case with 10's last album, but I find that kind of be a consistent thing that I sort of get a lot of times when I do the first listens. It's that like maybe the first B-side or those first 2 B-sides kind of very similar vibe to the title track. So I think it really gives it, I feel like Enough For Me gives it like a really kind of like Justin Timberlake vibe. You know what I mean? I'm talking very early into his solo career. I'm not talking NSYNC. I'm not talking now. I'm talking back in the day, Justin. You know? So I think that's really, really cool. I really like the vibe for it because of that. And it sort of matches kind of the vibe that Stunner was having. You know what I mean? But like, this man like oozes sexy through his music, and it's so insane because when you see him, that confidence, you can kind of get it. When you see him dance, you can get it. But just like me hearing it, I'm just like, 10, I don't want to even see nothing to this, okay? Just because I gotta live a life, okay? And I can't be doing that if 10's always in the back of my head. But no, I really like that one. Now again, kind of a little bit more like upbeat, definitely makes sense because we go Stunner, Enough For Me, then BAMBOLA, which is just, again, I really, he dropped a dance practice, so I gotta check that out so we can get a better look at that choreography, which we know is gonna be so good. But yeah, that's just like a really interesting stage of performance for him. But yeah, next one is Sweetest Sin. Boy, if you don't stop with all this, what am I supposed to do with my life, you know? Alright, sorry, I'm loading it up, but no, I think this is a really great project overall. It feels like on the last album, everything was very like kind of like experimental. Each song was given a different concept and type of performance, you know what I mean? So I feel like this go around, it's a little bit more of kind of like how we've seen 10 before with like when he was doing like his singles, you know what I mean? Not necessarily what he was showcasing within the last album, which I think the last album was really, really great, you know what I mean? But for sure this one still, it's much more of kind of like where I kind of thought he might go with the solo mini album, a debut if you would, but he's kind of starting it with the B-sides, like kind of like familiar 10, the sexy concepts, you know what I mean? Great choreography. That seems to be a lot more of kind of what he's serving for this one. But yeah, let's go and get Sweetest Sin. Are you ready? I'm not. I don't want to do this anymore, guys.
Feeling dangerous, come close, you see. Stop, jump, on fire, fucking
and a lot of songs have just been like English only. So that's why Stunner was kind of like, I was like, oh. But there's an English version of it. Okay, anti-drop. Talk of the town. Fantasize. Everybody all starry-eyed. Sweet as sin. Ooh. Subatomic, yeah, I'm under your skin. Tunnel vision, blind ambition, seal your favorite a kiss. Dangerous when I do my thing. I know you want it like this. You're insatiable when don't whisper in my ear, Ted. I can't do that anymore. Your mind is like an ocean, and I just wanna dive in. The energy's flowing. Young love in the flashing lights. I walk in. Make the head spin round. Scandalous. It also kind of has like a JT vibe. Like, did Timberlake produce the album or what? I feel like this song is kind of like the epitome of 10. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, again, kind of going back into like that sexy concept. I'm like, here's a song that kind of tells it all. See what I mean? And I like the build up of the chorus, it's cool. Is this like an outro or like a dance break outro? Bro, that's what I'm kind of getting. It's just like that. A lot of the B-sides, specifically like Sweetest Sin and Enough For Me, they kind of have like an old JT sort of vibe, like Timbaland producing type of vibe, you know what I mean? So I kind of really like hearing that, because I feel like a lot of artists haven't really kind of gone that route, you know what I mean? But it's just like I can almost hear JT, you know what I mean? And I kind of like that though, because it's kind of like, I've kind of heard some discussions that I've seen about, like, you know, like Tate McRae, how she kind of is trying to do, like, especially with just like sports cars, almost trying to capture this like early 2000s like Timberland sound, you know what I mean? I mean, she's like almost there, you know what I mean? But I feel like here, I wouldn't, well, I don't necessarily like Timbaland production, but it's definitely kind of like the early JT vibe, which Timbaland has produced a lot of JT music, especially early on. So like maybe that's kind of like where I'm kind of getting at. But like for sure, it's kind of like 10 is our kind of like male version of that, you know what I mean? And I really like it. I think it's dope. I feel like Sweetest Sin is just the epitome of 10. You know what I mean? In terms of like music and concept, I'm just like, this is what this man be serving. A sin, girl. But I really liked it. I think it's really dope, and it's kind of, yeah. Again, that's kind of like the vibes that I'm getting. So it's very interesting, because again, I feel like he's very prolific as an artist, Justin Timberlake. But like I feel like nowadays he's not like in like this, not in those type of discussions, you know what I mean? But for sure he really is just like, he's a good artist, and you know his music is, it just like carries over, you know what I mean? And it's just really good. So yeah, and it makes me, I am intrigued though to why they chose like Stunner as like a Korean song when all of his music has been in English solo wise, except for Stunner, which is very interesting. And there is an English version of Stunner. So and now that like all the B-sides are kind of like in English, I'm like, interesting decision, because they've done like all English albums before, you know, for a lot of their artists. I mean, we've seen it with 10, we've seen it with a bunch of different artists, but it's quite interesting. Next we're getting his Waves. Girl, I don't want to ride this wave with 10 anymore, girl. I'm exhausted. It is exhausting, don't you think? But yeah, so I don't know if he's gonna kind of slow it down. He, like, when I think of 10, I don't really think of like his music kind of slowing down to like a ballad type route. Maybe like a nice little R&B moment, but for sure, let's just figure out what 10 is doing. So let's get Waves. Yeah, like maybe this is a slowdown version of 10.
Trading the skyline for these ocean waves. Home is such a long flight to take. And I don't wanna go back, oh I swear there's no way. Yeah, so what if I stay?
It's time you can stay wherever you want.
I see all the reasons why you're on my mind all the time. Gonna leave at 5. Try to find excuses just to stay a while. Let me in your ways, and I know we'll be okay.
I knew it was gonna be this type of beat. I knew it.
All I wanna do is spend some time in your waves. What if I stay for days? Let all the troubles wash away.
Which I'm kind of happy it's consistent. We got water, we got waves, girl. FIFA's crazy.
So how about we find a place far away? Yeah, what do you say? As I close my eyes, I see all the reasons why you're on my mind all the time. Gonna leave at 5. Try to find excuses just to stay away.
But I feel like this type of track is definitely kind of like what I think of if I think of more slower 10 song. It's not slow. That BPM girl up there, but you know what I mean? Like, it's much more chill and much more low key than some of the other stuff.
I'm trying to keep my cool, but I don't mind if I lose it for you. Drifting away as long as it's in your blue. I can change all of my plans if you'd only let me in your waves. know we'll be okay, long as the ocean waves don't break. All I wanna
I kind of like how the album kind of does slow down a little bit because it's very overwhelming.
days, let all the troubles wash away. So just let me in your waves.
Whoa.
In your
But I mean, I do like how 10 consistent with this sort of sound, at least with this type of sound, which makes sense because girl, come on. So if there's a song title with the name W and it's 10, you know it's gonna be this type of vibe. But I really liked it. Again, when I would kind of think of like what 10 might do slower, it might be like something like this because it's nice because it can kind of just like take you down because the rest of the album very overwhelming. So kind of just like kind of being like transported just to be like a little bit of like a chiller type of space. I think it's just like really great, especially for kind of like the end of the album. I mean, his first album, it was kind of, I don't think we soloed down at all, but for sure kind of getting that vibe here I kind of really like, you know what I mean? I think it's a great song for summer. I think it's really good. So yeah, we got one more track left. How sad. We got Butterfly. Maybe it's not sad because I gotta live. I can only handle so much 10 in one day. All right. And normally it's just like one song per day. So I am very overwhelmed. But I'm excited to be checking out the last track, Butterfly. I mean, after this is done in the English version, which again, like, I don't know. Well, I guess I kind of, well, I don't know. I think it is interesting that they kind of gave the Korean version, the title track, and then the rest of the album's in English. But, I mean, normally it'd be like, well, again, with SM and what they do with their artists and stuff, I would just think the whole thing would be in English, but it is what it is. Let's get Butterfly. Because I feel like most of the time it's the reverse. Oh, Korean, hello. I feel like most of the time it's the reverse to where you get like one English song or two English songs, and then the rest are in Korean. So, but we got another one. Another one.
눈을 감으면 선명해지는 너의 따스함 손을 내밀면 살필 것 같은 우리의 시간 꿈처럼 포근히 퍼지던 향기도 저 멀리
Kind of do like him in a ballad because like the vocals are so pretty and they slay.
날 향한 그 미소 환하게 빛나던 나날들 아픔과 고통도 눈물도 추억이 된 지금 얼마나 더 지나야 괜찮아질까 참 아름다웠던 지는 기억들을 향해 인사를 전해 이름을 불러본다 찬란했던 나의 봄 떠나간 뒷모습만 말없이 바라봐 for you for you 이름을 불러본다 한 번 더 봄날이 오기를 꿈을 꾼다 난 매일 밤 널 찾아 꿈을 헤매 널 다시 품에 찬란했던
He would kind of have like a ballad that like turns up though, I will say.
나의 봄날
I would say that one is a biggest surprise, and I feel like on the last album he surprises with like every single track, because it was a little bit not what I thought 10 would do, so it was like very surprising every time there'd be like a new track, you know what I mean? But for this one, kind of getting the ballad at the end, I feel like it's like the biggest shocker, because when I think of 10, I don't think of ballads, I think of Sweet Baby Angel vocals, which was a beautiful showcase here, which I absolutely love that he got the chance to do, because I feel like when you think of 10, I think of dancing, and then vocals second, so it was kind of actually really nice to get like a vocal showcase like that. I think it was really great for that, and like kind of like how emotional it is. I really like that, because again, you get something like Enough For Me, it just kind of like still oozes like that sexy vibe, but like how absent it can definitely be within other tracks like Butterfly. So I think that's really cool. I think it's a great album. It's really good. I like all the tracks. I think they're really great. I can't stop listening to Stunner, so I'll definitely probably like add them all to my playlist and kind of just like, well, I need to add Butterfly. But like, I think it's really good. I sort of like what it showcases for 10, like main pop boy, you know what I mean? Like, we've got like a lot of main pop girlies, but who is like our main pop boys? And I feel like, man, 10 is just such a performer. It's crazy to not kind of include him in that discussion, but to kind of get a little bit more kind of like chill songs I think are really nice, but also kind of very much louder ones that kind of give very interesting performance like BAMBOLA, and then you kind of like have like, you know, the Sweetest Sin vibes, Enough For Me, and the Stunner vibes, which are just kind of like 10 and just like all his sexiness, you know what I mean? Which is really nice, but kind of just like really just showcasing that a little bit more, expanding on that a little bit more, because when I think of like Dangerous, I don't really think of like the sexy 10 sort of vibe, you know what I mean? So I think what we got with the debut album was something very interesting, definitely more explorative in terms of just like the genres that the tracks were serving. And for this go around, I'm just like, oh, this just feels like 10, like so much like how I've sort of grown to know him as a performer and a soloist. So it's really nice to kind of get those vibes, and even just like for here to get like that variety, which I will say though, when sometimes members do go solo in groups, sometimes like they always debut with like a really different vibe, and then they do everything I was kind of expecting them to do in like the next one, or kind of like what feels more familiar with the artist, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's just like a case of that, but what do you ever expect with 10? Just great music, great performances, and that's what he serves. So I do like getting a ballad from him. I think that's really cool, very interesting, because again, that's not necessarily what I think when I think of 10, but I think that's just like really cool to get that vibe, vocal showcase, that type of performance from him, and then everything else is just, it's too much to handle, girl. But overall, I really liked it. I think it's a great album, Stunner, and it's just kind of like, it's a good album. Just really gives off kind of like 10 in the ways that I always kind of saw him as a performer, so that's really cool that he gets to explore and expand on that. Go to your thoughts and comments below. Share about 10 Stunner second mini album. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. If you liked me and you want to see more of my videos, go and hit that subscribe button. Want to see my videos the second they come out, hit that notification button. Want to follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, in the description down below. Or at the end screen, if you like gaming content, I have a gaming channel. It's called Erica. Currently playing Batman Arkham Asylum and Assassin's Shadow, so if you can join me over there for that. Thank you so much for watching. Love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.